I'm Rachel Majors. I'm a digital marketing consultant at our ASBTDC Fayetteville office. And today we're going to be going over building and managing a content marketing strategy. So first, just a little bit about ASBTDC. That stands for the Arkansas Small Business and Technology Development Center. And our centers provide all types of, we provide assistance for all types of for-profit businesses from home-based to high-tech. And through our centers, you can receive one-on-one confidential consulting and really great access to market research at no charge. We also put on events like this and have guides and additional trainings as well. So if you're interested in learning more, you're not currently a client, you can sign up at the URL here, and we have some resources towards the end. Just a little housekeeping. This webinar will be recorded. You will receive the recording after attending, and we will send out the slide deck as well. So just a little bit about me before we get into the content. I am native to the area, moved around a lot, came back in 2012 and have stayed ever since. So I love the area. We're big outdoors people, love the biking access and Buffalo River and all the things that make NWA feel like home to us. But in addition, I also just feel so lucky to be able to work with small businesses like all of you. I think we have a really unique community for small business owners, and I love being a part of that. So happy to be with you guys today. Outside of that, we love our dogs and just hanging out. So dogs, outside, bikes kind of define who we are. From a professional standpoint, I've always been in the digital marketing space. And a lot of my focus is in analytics, budget optimization, search engine optimization, which is now leading to some generative AI optimization and figuring that out. So really, I help clients a lot figure out the back end and what levers we can turn to maximize your marketing for zero to low cost, basically. For the past 10 years, I've always had a content marketing background as well. So everything I've done has always been from a content marketing perspective, even if, I've had that front-facing role of actually writing and creating content, doing the strategy around that, or kind of the back-end role of optimizing and kind of making tweaks based on what we're learning about the content. So we will get into it today. So first, we'll go over what is content marketing and why does it feel so overwhelming. I've been doing this a decade now and I still feel overwhelmed by it. So if that is how you feel about it, then you are not alone. So first, what is it? Content marketing is the idea of creating and sharing valuable content to attract and retain customers. This is the most important part, where they are and how they consume marketing content. So think of this kind of 360 idea of marketing. That's what content marketing really encompasses. The idea is really to reach customers, potential customers, our target audience where they are. Everyone consumes different content. If your target audience ranges from age, demographic, lifestyle, you are gonna have different channels and different tactics that you'll implement. And so some of the benefits for small businesses is it builds great brand awareness, allows you to connect with a range of customers. We often see clients with multiple target audiences or demographics that they're wanting to reach. It's a great tool for nurturing customer relationships. So we're not always selling. We want to create a nice relationship with our customers and potential customers. It keeps your brand top of mind in a busy media world. I have this little stat over here, but on average, Americans are consuming about 6 hours of content every day. With Gen Z, maybe closer to 7. So that's an insane part of our day that's consuming content, and that is anything from marketing, advertising, social media platforms, TV, all of that. Another great part of content marketing too is it allows you to connect with people who maybe aren't always ready to take a direct purchase action. So people, creating good content and being across channels, knowing where your target audience pays attention to, is a really great way to kind of foster and keep people warm until they're ready to purchase or make a decision. Also allows you to establish expertise. So we'll get into content pillars in a bit, but that gives you something to talk and connect to your target audience about. Improves your SEO. We're now leaning into um, some of there's all these EOs now, like generative engine optimization, the AI engine optimization. So solid SEO sets you up for this new trend of moving more towards AI and search. And it's very cost effective. Most of these things you can do for completely free. Time and resources is a cost. But from a dollars perspective, most of these things are free. You're not investing in an outside unless you decide to go, pay for some advertising dollars or feature yourself in a newsletter or something like that. So, just a few common misconceptions I hear and see is content marketing is just blogging, it's only for big businesses, and it's instant. And that's kind of what we'll work through today. It's none of those things, but it is a buy-in, it is a process, it does take strategy, it does take some planning and understanding of your target audience. So you'll hear me say that a lot today is going back to your target audience. And if you get annoyed with me, at least maybe it will stick in your head that everything that we are doing in content marketing comes back to our target audience and who we're trying to reach. SEO is search engine optimization. I got a question in the chat about that. So showing up in Google search or any search engine. Um, so why does it feel overwhelming? This is why. There are so many different channels, so many different things that you can be doing, kind of an intersection of owned, paid, shared, earned media that can go into your content marketing. Depending on how many target audiences you have and how many demographics you're looking to reach, you might have a pretty robust content marketing strategy to reach everyone effectively. It is overwhelming. So that's where learning today, kind of getting an understanding of how to plan what's important to your target audience and what's relevant to your business type is really important so that hopefully it can feel a little more manageable. So today's agenda, we're going to go over organic content marketing tactics, steps for building a content marketing strategy, how to identify channels based on your target audience, establishing content pillars, setting goals, organization tips, and some common channels for small business owners to start with or start thinking about. So I have received feedback that this webinar is a lot of content, and it is, but I only have you guys for an hour, so we're trying to pack it in. If you have any questions, I will have a Q&A session at the end, and if we don't get to all of those, I can always follow up in email. So clear understanding that I know it's a lot, but so is content marketing. So let's dig into it. So first, our steps for developing content strategy. There's a few things we need to think about before we start writing copy and putting things out. So one, we want to set clear goals. What are we trying to do here? Different content marketing channels, like between social media and website and your Google business, video, you might find that each of your different channels and platforms have different goals. So be clear in that. Are you trying to increase awareness on one channel? Are you expecting conversion across every channel that you're investing time in? Are you trying to generate leads? Maybe you find that your lead cycle is 6 to 8 months, depending on the type of your business. Are you trying to attract people to come to your restaurant? So understand what you're expecting from each platform and each level of time and resource investment. That will set you up for your analysis later and kind of understand how to change and adapt as needed. Identify your target audience. So some businesses have one very clear target audience, some maybe have 3 to 5. But we want to be very clear in the target audience of who are they, what are their demographics, what do they do, what do they spend on, what do they need, how old are they, what channels are they on. And a lot of that information, you can find online. you can dig into some of your POS data and understand who your current customer is, then maybe you create profiles that way, and then maybe you kind of have an ideal customer profile as well that you want to go get and start attracting. Um, Oftentimes we find that our current customer might not always be our ideal customer, and we could start to market towards a new demographic. This area is where we have market research as well to understand some of the buying and media habits of those target audiences. Conduct a content audit. So, understand what you're doing in your current channels today. What is working? Are you posting a lot of reels and those are very effective? Like, let's continue to do that. Or, how are you going to start finding trends? Like, are you doing email marketing? And maybe those click rates have gone down. Where do we need to adjust from there? So, just general understanding of what you've been doing, what's working, what's maybe not working, can help us adjust our content marketing strategy to evolve from there. Choose your content types and channels. So, again, these go back to our target audience. So, if our target audience is older, maybe in that 50 to 60 range, it's probably not super relevant for us to be on TikTok. If we're finding we're Gen Z millennial heavy, we might want to do TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. So, again, your channel diversification is going to always depend on your target audience. Creating a content calendar. Let's be organized. Let's understand from a month perspective, maybe even quarterly, what we're going to be putting out there. Are we going to have any big project launches, any service launches, anything that our target audience needs to be aware of or plan for, or we can get them excited about? And then implementing our plan. How will we execute this? Who's going to own it? And then, yeah, just always understanding channel diversification and staying up to date. I think that is one of the hardest things for small business owners. It's just that with some of these algorithm-based platforms like social media and search, you're kind of always needing to pay attention to the trends and what is changing, and that can feel like a lot of work. So, um, yeah, we just need to understand what channels are prioritizing, what algorithms are prioritizing, and kind of work that into our content strategy of knowing that whatever we put out there is going to be beneficial, educational, valuable to our target audience, while at the same time being optimized for these specific channels that we want to show up in. Okay, so first, target audience. Determining your target audience also helps you decide the tone and core message you want to convey. So we're not digging a ton into this today. I've included some links that you can work through this, but understanding your ideal customer is really important. There's some worksheets here of like identifying that, what you break out, understanding what they respond to. So normally you'll find probably have 2 to 5 target audiences maybe. We definitely want to understand these versus saying that our target audience is anyone that has money, because that starts to really dilute our marketing efforts and is really hard to kind of target and understand and be effective for those current and potential customers. For content pillars, so if you think of these as kind of your guiding lights for content, so every piece of content that goes out hopefully should fit into a content pillar that aligns with our brand, that connects with our target audience, and has the right tone and energy and value for what we are looking to convey. So normally 3 to 5 content pillars is pretty decent and doable. So on your left here, you'll see some different kind of categories of content pillars. So you might choose for your business that educational, product service value, and customer success work. That might be something that is really more service based. So maybe you're a plumber, electrician, or you are providing a more service based business versus a restaurant might be a little more like lifestyle, product value, product being the food, and maybe behind the scenes or something like that. So Um, some pillar examples, some components, but try to break it out that way, and so you kind of have that guide of where to form your content under. And here are a few content pillar examples. So, if we were choosing between a restaurant boutique and a financial advisor, I tried to mix it up to be very different. Here would kind of be your breakdown of some ideas per pillar, if that makes sense. Um, After that, we want to audit our content marketing assets. So, say we set these pillars and that's what we want to do. Are you meeting those current pillars today, or what are we going to need to change? So, during an audit, and you can do this however you want. I like to document it in a Word doc or Excel sheet or kind of create a map for myself just to gain understanding. But what channels are you creating content for today? What takes the most time? Do they reach your target audience? Is your content using effective messaging? Does your content fit into your pillars and reflect your goals? And are you measuring the impact of content appropriately? So, how are we going to learn from this and move forward? AI platforms can be a good tool for this. Now they're a little bit better about searching the web and pulling in social channels and stuff. So, that could be, if this is feeling like an overwhelming step for you, from a time and energy perspective, maybe start with like ChatGPT or Claude and just say, hey, here are my marketing channels, here are my content pillars, here's my target audience. Based on my current marketing, where do you think I should change and make these additions? From the chat, I'm referring to organic content, but all of these principles apply to paid. So, most of the time with paid assets, we can understand what we should put money behind based on what is performing well organically. But all the principles of today fit both organic and paid. I'm focusing on organic because that's what most people are focusing on that I work with through the center. So, setting realistic goals, what matters for your business? What is the goal of each channel? What are your current average metrics for each platform? Creating benchmarks is really important. I have a separate marketing analytics course that I kind of dig into this more, but we don't know what is successful or what is working if we don't have a benchmark of where we were at before. And benchmarking just allows you to kind of understand what's normal for your business so that you can identify when something overperforms or when something's underperforming. You are always going to get a mix of both and everything, and some certain parts of your content pillars might underperform from an engagement perspective, but they might be really important for the target audience. So, something like maybe some of those more educational posts or something, if you didn't have those in your marketing, then your target audience would be less informed, but you might just start to see a trend of lower engagement with educational posts where you get higher engagement for some of that behind the scenes or lifestyle type content. So that's all what we want to figure out and understand our expectations of the kind of content that we're creating across platforms. And we can do that by creating benchmarks first. And then what feels reasonable to achieve on each platform for your resources and time. I like small businesses are strapped for time. You are often doing all of the jobs or you have a very limited team and resources. I'm never going to tell you that to have effective content marketing, you need to have 20 posts going out a week and you need to write 3 blog posts and you need to update your website every 2 weeks and send an email a day. Like, one, that's going to be overwhelming to your target audience, and two, it's just not possible. So by lining up all of these things and planning, we can understand that whatever we put out in our marketing is going to be valuable to our business and to our target audience. So going back to that stat of, individuals absorbing 6 to 7 hours of content a day, if we overload them even more, it's not effective at the same time. So, really being strategic in that way, I think, helps our target audience not feel overwhelmed and you're not starting to get ignored, but they can start relying on everything that I see from this business is helpful for me or I want to continue following or engaging with it. And that's really where I love content marketing, is that if you do it well, it really becomes a solid connection point. Um, so setting content goals by week, month, or year. Example, you could have a monthly goal of one blog post, if it makes sense for your business, 10 to 15 social media posts, that can look like 3 to 4 a week, 2 email newsletters, and 1 video. Again, that is going to depend on your overall strategy, but that is pretty reasonable if you're able to plan it out and, set it with intention. So first, getting organized, and I'll show you a few ways to do this in a minute, but a few best practices are creating a content idea database. This is something that doesn't have to be super official. Maybe it's something shared across your team. I keep just notes on my phone pretty often too, or if I'm working with a bigger team, I'll have like a shared Google Doc or something like that. Where can you just put things as they come? Sometimes like a great way to get content ideas is from your customers or from social or reading comments, Reddit threads, like all of these kind of forums where you're getting information and feedback, maybe on the industry or service type or something that you provide, from reviews, and kind of flipping that to be content. So whenever you feel inspired, just write it down somewhere, because if I don't write something down, I will forget it. So just kind of keep a running list. You can always come back to it, and then evaluate it through your pillars and language and all of that later on. Use a content calendar. I have an example of that in a few slides, but that just helps you understand what each week, each month is going to look like, each quarter, throughout the year, however far in advance you want to plan. But again, that kind of helps you work forward or can help you work backwards a bit if you know you're going to have a big priority at a point in the year. We want to start educating, getting people ready for something that you know is going to be a big driver for your business. And you can kind of tag ideas by theme or category or those pillars. So that just helps you or whoever on your team is managing kind of see a mix of that content too, so that you don't have a month that's just all educational posts. That allows you to kind of understand, like, okay, maybe we swap some of this out. We need to mix up some content within our pillars. This is a content calendar example. HubSpot as a whole is kind of who led this content marketing, I would honestly say revolution. That sounds a little dramatic, but it was at the time of this target audience customer-centric marketing. So I really love a lot of their resources, and this is a content calendar template that I've used for a long time, and I've included that link below. The link I included also kind of has a walkthrough of a lot of different ways to organize it and kind of some of the reasoning and education behind it. So moving on to creating compelling content, I spoke to this a little bit earlier, but gathering content ideas can come from anywhere, really. I think it's just always important to kind of train your brain to think of, um, when you're listening for ideas, when you're reading for them, like how to flip that as content ideation. So customer interactions is one of my favorite ways to get ideas. So inquiries, like, are you getting the same questions over and over and over again? If so, maybe we flip that and address it in some content in a way that's educational and helpful. Maybe we turn that into an FAQ. That an FAQ can be a really helpful piece of content for your target audience in addition to your staff. If people are constantly answering the same questions in like social media DMs or over the phone or something, an FAQ serves as a quick link to send to someone or kind of as a guide for whoever is answering the phone or emails of kind of your answers to some of these already. Social media comments are another one that I love. Surveys and polls, reviews and testimonials, and just conversations. If you're in the field or you have people coming into a brick and mortar, you're interacting over the phone, through email, kind of start gathering content from there. Are your customers confused about anything? Do your customers love something that maybe you've undermarketed a bit? allows us to guide ourselves a little bit. Any customer pain points, trends, so this can be seasonal trends, social media trends, industry trends. How can you play into that in a way that's valuable to your customer? Um, some trends do not make sense for certain types of businesses to engage with, and that is okay. You just have to know that from your business. If it feels really off for your brand and tone, don't play into it. If it works for you, it can be beneficial, but I think that's always an evaluation to make. If it doesn't feel right to you, it's not going to feel right to your target audience. Never just play into a trend because it's a trend. Competitive analysis. So, what are our competitors doing? What do you think they're doing well? What do you think they're maybe lacking on? Is there an opportunity that we see by looking at our competitor channels? We can always repurpose existing content. So maybe we published a blog post that's pretty informational, educational, plugs our service or business at the end. We can break that blog post down into smaller social media posts, or maybe little quote graphics, or send that in an email. Video, if you're doing long form video, how can you cut that down into reels? So if you're investing in content, it's a good opportunity to understand how you can break it up and use it across other channels as well. And then just AI platforms again. I think AI platforms can, lead you in whatever way you want it to go. But my general rule for AI platforms is you need to give it all of the information it needs to think like you as a business owner or your customer. So don't just ask for generic ideas. Be pretty targeted in it and give it exactly what you want from an output perspective. Just a warning as well, if you're using a free version of an AI platform like Claude or ChatGPT, the free version uses your inputs to inform the system. So I don't put any sensitive or like financial data into that. But a prompt for something like this could be Instagram content ideas for a locally owned clothing boutique. Target audience is XYZ. I want to see XYZ from results or engagement, whatever. You can give it some examples too of like, I really like this business. I think they're doing a good job. Give it your content pillars, inform the system. And then create idea evaluation criteria. So whether you're working just by yourself or with a team, how relevant is it to your audience? Does it align with your business goals? Does it kind of fit those resource requirements of do you have time and energy, space, dollars to do this? Evaluate the potential engagement based on maybe those benchmarks that we understand before, and then what's the conversion potential. So is this more of a post for awareness? Is this a post where you're expecting a purchase or sign up or free trial, something like that? And just adding on to that, just best practices are, focusing on your expertise, mix your content types, balance promotional and value-driven content. So normally, we've all heard of that like 80-20 rule for educational versus informative. So we don't want to always be selling. Customers and potential customers get tired of that. We're being sold to from all different angles all the time. So how can you balance that? There's a few stats over here on the right of kind of different industry, percentages for that. E-commerce, you're definitely going to be selling and pushing a little bit more. But evaluate that for yourself, maybe do some industry research, understand what that looks like for your business type. Develop eye-catching visuals, persuasive copy, and clear CTA. So what will your target audience resonate with? Probably a good mix of static and video content. If someone is scrolling through a feed or something's getting put in front of them, what's going to make them stop and pay attention to it? What action do you want them to take? What do you want that call to action or CTA to be and look like? Ensure that your content aligns with your brand voice and your target audience. Again, you're going to get tired of me saying that, but that's really what it all comes back to. And then create a system for A/B testing if you want. That can be creative and copy assets, but it's often best to pick one element to test. We don't want to say we're running an A/B test and everything from A to B is completely different. We can't actually identify um, any efficacy between that. So maybe it's just testing a subject line. Maybe it's testing a call to action. Maybe it's testing a different graphic style or attention grabber. But normally focusing on one in an A/B test is most beneficial. Okay, so common content marketing channels for small businesses are often social media. So Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube. Again, your channel strategy is going to depend on your target audience and who and where you're trying to reach them. Google Business, I think, is important for everyone. Um, it's free and you don't need a physical location for it, but it provides an extra Google or search engine source. It's most of the time quicker, faster, easier to optimize than pure search or that SEO. And yeah, it informs Google and the customer, gives people an easy place to call, visit your website, find your social channels. Email marketing or SMS marketing, some businesses, it makes sense for them to do both. Again, some of your demographics might be really email heavy. If you're always sending valuable emails, they might want to open every single one. You might also find that maybe you have a younger audience that doesn't want email and SMS might work for them. Your website, and within your website, a blog. Blogging can make sense for businesses. It just depends on what value you have to provide to blog content. So, blogging to blog doesn't work. It needs to be planned out. It needs to fit in those content pillars. It needs to serve a purpose, in my opinion, for the search engine and the user. And then just some of these tools that I like to evaluate this. So if we're doing all of this planning and effort and execution, we need to make sure that we have the tools in place to evaluate our efficacy. So for website traffic, I like Google Analytics 4. This is something that runs in the background. You don't have to look at it or do anything with it, but until you want to. But if it's not installed, then you never have that historical data. So that's a very easy one. Google Search Console is important for anyone with a website. This is a free account, but submitting your site to Google Search Console allows the search engines to know that you exist. If you don't submit, then Google doesn't know to crawl and you don't have a chance to even show up in search. And either Shopify or like web platform stats. So if you're on Squarespace or Wix, Shopify, whatever web platform provider you're using, they will often have native analytics built in. That is great. They're often more simplified, might give you a nicer view of it. Just in addition to those, I always encourage everyone to install Google Analytics 4. It's free. It's normally just very easy copy paste ID situation within those web platforms. And I like that because if you ever were to change platforms, say you switch from Wix to Squarespace, you wouldn't lose that historical data. Google Analytics would be running across all the time, even if you change platforms. In addition, tracking engagement rates. This is normally across social media and email. Lead generation, conversion rates, and just using these tools to adjust your strategy based on the data. So just a few best practices across marketing channels. For social media, we always want to tailor content to each platform. So even if we're posting the same maybe graphic information, whatever, we do need to make sure that like our content format is appropriate. So Instagram changed to a different ratio. Your Instagram graphic might be a different size than what you would put on Facebook or LinkedIn. Or on Instagram, you can say, check the link in our bio, and you might have a link tree or link in bio link. Where on Facebook, you can include the link directly in the post. Same for LinkedIn. So kind of customize certain elements for each platform just to make it easy for your viewer. And then using a mix of photos, graphics, and videos. That's just how our brains work as humans. Again, if we're scrolling through a lot of content really quickly, what's going to make us stop? What is eye-catching? What is relevant and valuable? Encourage engagement and understand optimal posting times for your channels and audience. For blog posts, we really want to focus on compelling headlines, clear structure, so having clear intro, body, conclusion with nice subheadings and bullet points. A principle of search engine optimization is organization in this way, and that's because that's how our brains read. So if we see a blog post or website page or even social content, if it's just one big block of text, we normally abandon it because our brains can't start to kind of identify information, or most of us consume content like we're skimming and scanning. So organization is very important. Same things go for like product listings on your website, using bullet points, and kind of organizing in a way where you want the eye to go is important. And then including a call to action. From that blog post, what do you want someone to do? Do you want them to go follow you on social media, sign up for your newsletter? Do you want them to buy something or call you for pricing? So always a good opportunity to kind of put what you want the user to do there. I'm going to check the chat. So we have a chat that says, I've been seeing people include things like comment sale in the comments and you'll receive a download link. Are they using automated systems for this most of the time? That's a feature that's usually through social media that you set up. It's like a bot technically. You can do that. I would just, normally what I see is giving that option in addition to providing a link or something. So some people don't want to comment, but they might want the resource and they will still go on the link. So I do that a lot with like recipes. They'll say comment recipe to get this in your DM. I don't like doing that most of the time. Some people do because it's quicker, it's faster, they don't have to go look for something. That kind of goes back to our idea of content marketing, right? Is like providing outlets and options for how people want to interact. So as a user, they'll say comment recipe or visit the link and they'll just include it. I will just go use that link. But you see people commenting all the time. So I think if that feels, you can test it out. If you don't get great reaction, maybe provide both options and understand from there. Video and podcast, keep it concise and valuable, invest in good quality audio, edit for value add and quality, and be consistent with publishing. So video is normally a big lift, whether you're creating long form video or short form video like Reels or TikTok. There are some AI tools now, like CapCut, things that can help you do that, that can help with time. But I think, again, does it make sense? Are people interacting? If your time investment is way more than your engagement and conversion and how people are interacting, you might have a strategy where you have an overview video that's maybe educational, or an intro video or something where you're not creating video content all the time, but you have a few that make sense. I do like video and podcasting or anything with an audio perspective because sometimes you can get across messaging in a way that feels more personal and in a way that people can connect more by speaking than you can with written content. So sometimes that's a good way to evaluate too. If you're starting to write something out and it just doesn't feel right, or you end up thinking, what is the point of this, or what am I trying to get to here? Maybe it's something that you just talk out and see if that vision is conveyed a little bit better, and then you could produce a video on it. Video is growing in importance for algorithms, so I will say that, but only if it's done well, right? So I would say understand the time commitment, understand your skills, and how you want to introduce that to your strategy. And then just a few tools for visual content creation. Canva is really great. You have lots of templates and ideas, and it can be quick. Like, I am not someone who knows how to use Adobe or design things from scratch, but I can go in Canva um, and design things that are in my brand guidelines and brand, um, my fonts, my logo, my colors, and know that I can maintain brand consistency there. And then design for your target audience. So, don't make things too overwhelming, flashy. Don't add more than your target audience needs. Understand what is important to them when consuming content and kind of design from that perspective. This is a lot of words, but this mostly serves for links for you guys later. But kind of the rule that I tell clients is like, you can really only manage about 3 platforms effectively from social media. So doing your research on demographics and understanding where to invest your time is important. Each platform kind of has different demographics. And that's just important to know. Each one kind of has different benefits for service. So if you're a little more B2B or you're making connections, LinkedIn might make sense. Where like most of the time, if you're an e-commerce brand or something, you're not going to be posting on LinkedIn to sell t-shirts or whatever you're selling. Again, just a few things for you to refer back to later. And then understanding metrics. So a few things with social media, if we're trying to gain that understanding of benchmarks is engagement rate, your reaches, impressions, click-through rate, and conversion rate. So averages vary by industry. Understanding your benchmarks for your business and your industry can be really valuable to evaluate that content. Google Business, digging into this just a little bit, I have a separate course with recordings if this is something that you're interested in learning more about, but this is a free profile for everyone. Again, gives you some of that search value, is really a nice just showcase of your business for the user to have all the information in one place. But it's very important to keep your business hours, contact info, seasonal schedules current. We were all around town last weekend it was very busy in Fayetteville with Dad's weekend and game day, and sometimes like restaurants are running out of food or people are having different hours, and that can create a frustrating customer experience if people traveling in are also relying heavily on looking things up, and Google Business is a big one for that traffic. So you can set temporary hours. You can, make a post on there. It's like, hey, we're closing early. This is really a great kind of source of truth for a lot of customers and potential customers. This is also a great platform for reviews. So responding, whether positive or negative, and encouraging satisfied customers to leave reviews. This helps you kind of gain in local SEO. So using location-specific keywords naturally in your profile and making sure your business categories, services, and attributes are accurate. And then post updates is something that Google is prioritizing more lately. So special offers, events, news, adding some new photos. Maybe that's done monthly. But the events is a pretty neat one. Where now if I go and log an event through Google Business, and then as a potential customer, I'm searching things to do in Fayetteville this weekend, it starts pulling up those events from Google Business. And then you have some metrics and analytics tracking through Google Business as well. And that just kind of gives you an idea of when people are requesting directions, how often, profile visits, website clicks, all of that. For email marketing, a few best practices. Set frequency for sending, so understand how often you're going to be sending, and you can kind of set that expectation with your subscriber base as well. That's something I like to do on the front end. If I'm trying to encourage people to sign up for a newsletter, email subscription, I'll say, hey, we send, this is our monthly newsletter that we send once a month, or receive exclusive offers and updates. We are conscious with the emails we send. Just something where people don't want to get spammed, and I think that's the hesitancy a lot, is signing up for another email. Is it gonna be crazy? So I think that setting an expectation up front is always good. Set clear messaging goals and pillars for your emails. So are you going to have welcome emails, promotional emails, newsletter, re-engagement? That's more internal, but understand frequency and content. Build and segment your email list. So email marketing is effective when we know exactly who we're marketing to. Not all of our emails that we send might be relevant to our entire subscriber base. So we want to understand that. Provide value in every email. So we don't want to just send an email to send it. What is the value? What is the ask? Why is this relevant to our target audience? And then always optimize for mobile. Most of the time, if you're using an email marketing platform, whether sometimes you'll start seeing like bulleted text if you have one or two sub bullets. It starts getting really skinny and kind of draws out a lot on mobile. You also always want your email marketing to be text-based. It's never effective to design like a graphic in Canva or something and then just put it in an email. If your content in an email cannot be selected with a cursor, like you're highlighting it, then that's not text-based. So that can create a frustrating user experience, and it can also get you blocked pretty easily from like you can just get put into spam filters and stuff. So you do need to be careful of attachments and big images and optimize for size as well. Just some email marketing tools. I would say pick systems that work for your current platform and your audience. If your POS has an email system built in and that's where you're gathering customer data and that's where it's already being stored, that might be great. Then you're not having to switch around this contact information all the time. People can opt in there. It's very easy. If you're working in a CRM, most CRMs have email marketing tools. Some website platforms do, like Squarespace. If you're already collecting information through forms and stuff through Squarespace, that's very natural to use like Squarespace marketing to send your emails. Other ones are MailChimp, Klaviyo. Klaviyo is a little more specific to like Shopify, e-commerce, kind of that idea of drip campaigns. But plenty of options there. I will leave this to you guys to explore a little bit more. This is just a few categories of emails and kind of subcategories and topic ideas within that. Some email marketing metrics, again, going back to benchmarking for ourselves and our industry. So a few common email marketing metrics to track are open rate, click-through rate, conversion rate, bounce rate, and unsubscribe rate. If we're sending an email and our unsubscribe rate goes way up, like we need to pay attention to that and understand that that content was not relative. We lost people with that. How do we change our strategy and copywriting? If we had an amazing open rate and click-through rate, that content really worked. People resonated with it. You had a clear call to action. Maybe you even had a great conversion rate. So there's a few resources here. Understanding industry benchmarks and creating them for your own. For blog post planning and execution, just kind of those best practices, like what content should be blog posts. If you feel like you have a lot to say and it's very topic specific, and it's something that could be kind of a resource that people refer back to, maybe that's a great blog post. Long form content normally fits better as a blog post than it would on social channels. Consider the SEO or search engine optimization impact. So if you kind of think of blogging and SEO impact as a funnel, the top of that funnel is awareness, and as you get closer to the bottom is more conversion based. So what are the keywords that you would want to show up for? What keywords are relevant to your audience? Are people even searching for them? And understanding how to build around that. And then just what is your goal for the content? Is it awareness? Is it SEO impact? Is it conversion? Do these blog posts resonate with your target audience and fit your business model? Like, we don't want to just be writing our thoughts out in general on the blog. It needs to have a purpose and be structured. Do you have time to blog? It is a time commitment. It is writing. And then what channels will you promote the content through? So if you're doing all this planning and writing for a blog post and then you never cross promote it, your opportunity for visibility is really low. So if you're going to have a blog post that you publish, go and promote it across your other social channels. Maybe it's something you send in the monthly newsletter as well. Structure, we kind of went through that, but again, structure it in a way that is digestible for your reader and search engines. And then metrics, you can look at engagement through Google Analytics 4 or your website platform, business impact, and your ranking, which you can often see through Google Search Console as well as a free tool. Okay, we're getting towards the end. So if you have any questions, start thinking about them. This is a company branch basics that I always just include at the end. They started as very, very small and have grown a lot. But their pillars are very clear to me. They are a product company. They have a product that you can buy, but they do so much in education and information and research that they kind of are just a resource that they kind of position themselves as like an education company that has a product, that aligns with their core value and services. So if you have time, go check them out. They just have a lot of articles. I think they've done a great job planning content marketing across the board. Oh. Okay, any questions? We are at the end. I ended this a little early somehow. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat or the FAQ, and I will address them. I'm going to leave this screen up for now.